Hello, dear friends in YouTube. We are here to talk about CUET PG. Our CUET PG course has just begun. A lot of students have joined the course and they're here with us on Zoom. So while we were talking to them, I thought for some time we'll go live in YouTube so that and everyone can know about our CUET PG exam. And if you want, you can prepare for it. We'll also tell you what we do here. With me is Ankita Ganguly, the coordinator of the CUET PG course 2025, right? So the exam is usually conducted in March every year. It can move a little bit forward or backward, but it is usually March. The basic topics covered in CUET PG exam are history of English literature and also Indian literature. You should know the basic major writers, their works, their ideas and movements, and also a little bit about your own culture. When we talk about Indian literature or Indian writing, it is not only in English, you should know a little bit of Sanskrit, a little bit about vernacular writers, basics only. And I'm telling you, there is a mix of very easy questions as I look at it, which everybody should know. Even children can answer some of them. But there are also tough questions because you are getting into central universities and you are going to really get a boost in your career. So they don't want you to be unprepared for it. There are some challenging questions also in CUET PG exam. So we should prepare seriously for it. It cannot be taken very lightly. And a lot of questions are from literary terms, traditional literary terms, as well as new contemporary terms pertaining to some new genres and theories. And also there are genre-based questions, literary genre. A genre, as you know, is a kind of literature. There are broadly drama, prose, fiction, poetry, like that broad genres. There are also sub-genres. So there are books available for all this that are very classic books. M.H. Abrams's Glossary of Literary Terms, or J.A. Cadden's terms book, Routledge ka book, Penguin. These are all very important ones. I'll tell you in the course, dear students in Zoom. On Zoom, I will tell you all about the important books that you should have. Even though it's wrong, you can get PDF of it. I would always suggest you buy your own copy because they are like a foundation for your entire career. You should have a small library apart from the coaching that we give you. So you can use Kindle also for the same. Then there are some questions based on comparative literature and translation studies. So as I told you, Indian literatures of vernacular or regional languages are also important and in translation. So what are they looking at when they choose you for CUET PG courses? They are looking at a person who is genuinely interested in English literature. They are looking at people who have their own reading, who have their own general knowledge. Many of these are general knowledge-based questions. When you read newspapers or listen to news, you should pay attention to literature-based questions and literature-based events, current affairs, that kind of person with a lot of common sense and general knowledge and interest in the subject, wide reading in the subject. You should know popular novels, you should know movies, you should know what are the important angles in which you should look at society. For example, are you aware of Dalits writing, any Dalit writers? Are you aware of disability-based writers? Are you aware of alternate sexualities? Are you aware of all kinds of dissident voices that stand out for some reason or the other? So that kind of perception you should have in order to take this exam. Preparing for CUET PG will help you become a very good student of MA, and it will lay the foundation for NET. Even those who are studying for NET exam or later exams should not take CUET PG lightly, because the authors that are covered there, the questions based on folklore, sometimes they ask questions based on popular culture. Sometimes they ask. They are all possible questions for NET and other such exams also. So the areas are very important, and some of the questions are easy, some of the questions are tough. And they ask very basic questions from literary criticism and theory. You will get an awareness of current literary trends. You should have, I mean, if you study with us, we will teach you also. You will get an awareness also. Current literary trends, events, awards, major writers who have come up of late as important for various reasons. Like that, you should have a general knowledge of the subject and some deep awareness and interest and your own research. This is what they are expecting of you. Okay. And then the starting date, our course starts on 19th September. The complete course will include lectures that I give and also the team. There will be continuous support. We will give you quizzes, we'll give you revision classes, we'll give you model tests. It is common for all our courses, continuous support, and also updated materials. PDF notes that are very important. All the important areas will be covered. And I would always suggest a research-based approach. It is not enough to just mug up the points in the PDF. You should read a little bit extra, however much busy you are, or however much you have other things to do. You should still find time every day to do some research, because it helps you to build your general knowledge. It helps you to remember things faster. Otherwise, you'll forget. So in Google, you should do some research on your own, and also get a lot of exam practice with quizzes and polls and mock tests. So Ankita, what do you think? Is there anything else that I've missed out regarding general preparation for CUET PG exam?
Yes, so you have not missed anything, but I just want to add one thing more, that like every other exam, CUET PG is evolving with every passing year. So the pattern is changing slightly every year. So in the last CUET PG exam, we saw that they even asked questions about Indian magazines, then movie adaptations, popular culture, popular literature. So yes, you should have an overall idea and a very strong idea and vocabulary about literature, not only again British literature, but also Indian literature and other post-colonial literatures. And again, there in the last exam, we saw a very strong emphasis on Indian literature, culture, Indian literary movements, famous Indian personalities, and even Bollywood movies. So that's what we will try to do. That even we often see that we lack a bit in our knowledge of Indian magazines, Indian soaps or films. So yes, it is very important that the areas which we often overlook, that those should also be emphasized properly, and always try to keep stay updated about the current things which are happening not only in India but also abroad. And yes, to have a very holistic development, not only of literature but also our culture, our nation, identity. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Ankita herself has, done a lot, got a lot of achievements in her studies. She has got into JNU, as all of you would know, and she has done her MA there. So it is this kind of backup that we get in this course, because the team members have gone through these exams. They have passed these exams. Now let us talk a little bit about the exam. Ankita, would you like to, because you are the best person to talk about it?
Okay, so what is this exam? This exam is an entrance test which will enable you to get into various major central universities of India for your MA, that is masters. And not only MA, but also various undergraduate, integrated, postgraduate, diploma, certificate courses. But here we are specifically talking about MA English. So what is this course is doing? This course is equipping you with the knowledge you need and the approach you will need to face this exam and to get into your favorite university successfully. So this is what this exam is about. This exam is the key to get into your most favorite university and to study from your favorite professors.
Yeah, the Common University Entrance Test, earlier known as Central University's Common Entrance Test. It's an all-India test organized by the National Testing Agency. And there are 45 central universities in India where you can study. In this video, in this session, I will also be looking at some PYQs and telling you how to prepare these PYQs. Students who have graduated in the final year of BA English or who have finished their BA English can take this course with us and they can write this exam. You don't have to do BA English. As you know, you can do in other humanities and also do, this exam, to take this course and write this exam. We offer training to help students to excel in exams, many exams like CUET PG. We blend literature with history, culture, arts, philosophy. We do that in all our courses. And incidentally, CUET PG is an exam that blends all this together. The one thing I can promise you is we will ignite curiosity in our students. We will help our students to really fall in love with the subject, to enjoy learning, and also we'll ignite in them a spark which will continue to help them forever. So that is what you can expect from our course. Now let us come to the PYQs, the previous year questions. I've just put some basic questions here. Questions based on a lot of movies and other aspects of culture are there, but I've not included all of them here. They are basic questions because we are going to tell you how to prepare for these questions, how to study these questions. Who among the following does not belong to the Frankfurt School? Now, Frankfurt School is a major theoretical school that came at the beginning of the 20th century. Frankfurt is a place in Germany, and this Frankfurt School were a group of theorists. They are Marxists in orientation. They came in Frankfurt at the University of Frankfurt. They are Walter Benjamin, Herbert Marcuse, and Theodor Adorno. Now, maybe some of you who are preparing for this exam, who are in this course, do not know who is Louis Althusser. Remember, there was Karl Marx. Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels developed communism or Marxism, and they were structuralist in approach. What is structuralism? They looked at the structure of the society divided into working class people and upper class people, the haves and the have-nots. And they believed that society, Marx especially believed that society has an economic base and everything else is built on the superstructure. Now, these structuralist ideas, I will explain in the course again later, don't worry. These structuralist ideas were overturned a little bit by Louis Althusser. He developed some new ideas related to Marxism. And Louis Althusser talked about social formations. He said that the society cannot be divided into just base and superstructure. There are many elements in the society, many levels in the society that are all kind of autonomous and equal. Okay, we will in a very interesting manner study literary theory like this from the basics. We will show you the important people, what they meant, how to look at them, how to understand their theories. So this Frankfurt School, why are they asking this question? Because Frankfurt School is related to Marxism. Frankfurt School is also related to cultural studies. And Frankfurt School led to the formation of the New Left. There is an idea called, a movement called New Left. They emerged in Britain, they emerged in the US, and Frankfurt School laid the foundations of new approaches to culture. They believed that commodification of culture, mass commercialization, these are all bad. They coined the term culture industry. Okay, the culture industry refers to how culture becomes an industry, a commodity. It was Theodor Adorno and Max Horkheimer who talked about it. Adorno's culture industry. Herbert Marcuse, the Frankfurt School figure, became the father of the New Left later. Walter Benjamin was a very important figure as well. He wrote the work of art in the age of mechanical reproduction. Now you are thinking, oh my God, she's saying a lot of words and names. I don't know them. Don't worry, these will be very easy. They will become like your cousins or uncles and or aunts very soon, because we'll tell you the story of literature, the story of the development of these movements. You don't have to worry at all. Okay, did you enjoy the discussion on Frankfurt School? Ankita, do you know any other term that they used in Frankfurt School, or any other information you would like to share with them?
Yes, I think Frankfurt School also led to the establishment of critical theory, because these theorists and social scientists were very active in critiquing the structures of society and the prevalent norms and practices. So I think their theory also was better known as critical theory. So I think that's also an important point.
Yes. So in literature, apart from the books of poetry and prose and fiction, we talk about literary theory and literary criticism also. Literary criticism was the approach which started in the BCs of reading the text. And then we have literary theory. Now we talk about cultural studies, even after literary theory. Literary theory is sometimes called critical theory, but that is not the critical theory that Ankita is talking about. That is a term that the Frankfurt School used to denote that they are not only talking, but they are changing the society. Then there are more terms, negative dialectics and things like that, which one by one we will talk about later. Now, ham, clove, neg, nell, nag, nell. They are characters in which absurdists play. It should be nag. Absurdists play among the following. So the first kind of question is, who of the following did not belong to this movement? What does that mean? You have to study movements and the major figures in them. This question is based on characters in a major text. This is a very major text called Endgame, written by Samuel Beckett. Samuel Beckett is the author of Waiting for Godot, Happy Days also, and Endgame is one of his major absurd plays. There was in the 1960s a movement called Theatre of the Absurd. You know, the 1960s came immediately after the Second World War. The Second World War was between 1939 and 45. Okay, you have to get the social events and their years, etc. correct. And after the Second World War came Samuel Beckett and the Theatre of the Absurd. It was not only an English movement, it was a European movement. There were other figures in Theatre of the Absurd like Eugene Ionesco. In America, there was Edward Albee, etc. And Samuel Beckett wrote revolutionized drama. Before Samuel Beckett, drama was the well-made play. In drama, we had the well-made play. There should be 5 acts in a play. There should be 3 characters in a scene. There should be a beginning, middle, and end. There were so many rules that drama followed. But after the World War, people like Samuel Beckett are thinking, what are these rules for? What did these rules do to us? Where did we get after all this discussion on rules? They rejected all the rules. They showed the horrible condition of the post-war world, the fragmentation, the trauma, the loss of identity and meaning. That is what is called Theatre of the Absurd. And Endgame is a very important play. Endgame refers to chess. Okay, Endgame refers to chess. And the last game that finishes the game of chess. And here there is Ham, a man who's always sitting on a wheelchair. He cannot get up. Clove is taking care of him and he cannot sit down. He's always running around. He can't sit down. He keeps saying, I'm going, but he can't go. Nag and Nell are the parents of Ham. And it is so sad because they live inside trash cans and they die. Nell dies at the end. So this is a very disturbing play, Endgame. So is Waiting for Godot, as many of you might know. Ankita, can you please read the question?
Which among the following concepts is Bertolt Brecht associated with? Is it alienation effect, post-dramatic theatre, naturalistic drama, or theatre of the absurd? So Brecht, again, was a very famous playwright, and he was associated with the idea of the alienation effect. So what is this alienation effect in drama? It means that suppose you're sitting and watching a play in a theater, and during the course of the play, as an audience, you are constantly reminded that all this is fictional. This is a play, and you are not supposed to, relate with the characters and the incidents which are happening. Instead, you are supposed to critique and examine the theater you are watching. You are supposed to see it critically. You're not supposed to, start crying or relate with the play. You're supposed to be at a critiquing position, at a critical position, and that's what you call alienation, because you are alienated. You are not relating with the play or the characters or their sufferings or their happiness. Rather, you are at a distance. You are alienated from the play you are watching, and that's what you call alienation effect.
Right. So this question is about an idea. Which of the following is an idea of Brecht, a concept? So that kind of questions are also asked. Now there is a question from Sanskrit aesthetics. So we need to know about Sanskrit philosophy and Sanskrit literature also a little bit. They can ask a question on Kalidasa or Bhasa, for example. In Indian aesthetics, Vakrokti is propounded by Kuntaka. There are 8 schools of Indian philosophy and Indian aesthetics, and Vakrokti is one of it. So what is Vakrokti? Kuntaka explained in Vakrokti Jividam that it is a suggestion. Instead of stating things directly, in poetry, we will suggest. That is called Vakrokti. We have to know about all the schools of ancient Sanskrit poetics. And also it starts with Rasa, of course, as all of you know. We have to talk about their propounders, their major works. All that is ready with us. We have the material, we have the team. We just need you to put in some effort. Now, many of you may not know this. Maybe you know this. We have a set of encyclopedias, British Literature Encyclopedia, 3 volumes, American Literature, 2 volumes, and Indian Literature, 2 volumes. These are very exhaustive books which can help you prepare for every exam that you write in the course of your career in English literature. So that is the book. These are the books that people preparing for NET and many exams are using. These books are very, very basic and important. If you use them, you will be able to understand things much easier and faster. But don't worry, we will give you lots of PDF notes in the course. If you don't want to buy these books, that's absolutely fine. Without that also, you can learn very well. Who wrote the critical work, Principles of Literary Criticism? Ankita, would you like to read and explain?
So who wrote this work? Is it Aristotle, T.S. Eliot, I.A. Richards, or F.R. Lewis? It's a very important work of criticism by I.A. Richards. And what is this work about? This work is about how our mind responds to rhythm and meter. He was a very important figure of practical criticism. And practical criticism reads poetry or any text close reading. That's what I.A. Richards propounded, how to do close reading of any text, be it a poem or a prose or even a film or even a social practice. So principles of literary criticism mainly focused on how our mind responds to rhythm and meter.
Yeah. And close reading is reading a text in isolation without looking at anything beyond the text. You don't look at the author, you don't look at the context. This is one of the many approaches in literary criticism. It is a 20th century approach, and it gave rise to what is called new criticism. There are many approaches in literary criticism, and many critics are there. Those who have not done BA English will not be able to know this, but don't worry, we teach from the scratch, from the basics. So you don't have to worry. You are in safe hands. We will help you with all this. Belinda is a famous character in, is it Hudibras, The Rape of the Lock, An Epistle to Dr. Arbuthnot, or Pastorals? Ankita?
Yes. So Belinda is a character from Alexander Pope's The Rape of the Lock. So Alexander Pope was one of the most influential writers of the 18th century. And The Rape of the Lock, his most important work. and Belinda is the heroine there. And we see that how she wakes up one morning, she is surrounded with love letters. She goes to a ball party, and there, Mr.
Baron.
Yes, the Baron cuts a lock of her hair, and how her guardian selves are trying to protect her and warn her of this impending danger. But anyhow, this catastrophe happens. Her lock of hair is cut, and it gradually becomes a star. So it's a heroic comical poem by Alexander Pope, and it's a very famous work of the 18th century.
That's right. So that is a very interesting poem. We will study all these poems in detail. Which of the following periods is known as the Jacobean period? It should be periods. I'm sorry for the mistake. Jacobean period is early 17th century period. It is the time of James I. He reigned from 1603 to 1625. So they ask you such chronology questions or year-based questions also. James I came to power immediately after Elizabeth I, the famous Queen Elizabeth of the 16th century. And she died in 1603, and Jacobean period dawned. The important writers of the Jacobean period, etc., we will go over it with you. Rajatarangini, a historical chronicle of the northwestern subcontinent, was written by a Kashmiri writer. A Kashmiri writer. Is it Megasthenes? No, he's not Kashmiri. Kalhana al-Bisuni or Herodotus. This was also a PYQ. It is Herodotus. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
It is Kalhana.
I'm so sorry. I did not notice the mistake. Okay. It is a very important text. So, very famous texts of Indian literature like this. We will give you lists. We will explain these to you. You can start studying that also. You might all know Mahashweta Devi. She was a very major writer and an activist. She wrote a play, Mother of 1084, who translated it into English. This is not a very simple question. Because Gayatri Spivak has also translated Mahashweta Devi's works, but this translator is Shamik Bandyopadhyay. He's the translator of Mother of 1084. It is about a woman, Sujata, who is learning about her son Brati, who has died. And she is learning what a great revolutionary he was. And she herself has been a revolutionary in her own life, and she feels proud of her son. That is the story. Ankita, your turn.
So who wrote the Pickwick Papers? Thomas Hardy, Franz Kafka, Charles Dickens, or Henry James? So the Pickwick Papers, it was the debut novel of Charles Dickens. So Charles Dickens was one of the most prominent authors of the Victorian period. Victorian period started from 1837 and it continued till 1901. This Victorian era was most famous for its genre of the novel. There were many subgenres under the novel, like the social novel or the gothic novel also, and the novel of the sensational novels. And William Makepeace Thackeray, Charles Dickens, the Bronte sisters, then Thomas Hardy, Anthony Trollope, many important novelists wrote during this period. And knowing their works, the famous characters they created, and also the chronology of their novels is very important. And the debut novel of Dickens was the Pickwick Papers. After this, he also wrote many other novels like Oliver Twist, David Copperfield, A Tale of Two Cities, Hard Times, and many other works.
Very good. So this is a Victorian picaresque novel. Which among the following is not a partition novel? Tamas by Bhisham Sahani is a partition novel. Train to Pakistan by Khushwant Singh is. The Shadow Lines by Amitav Ghosh is. But The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy is not a partition novel. Arundhati Roy is a Booker Prize winner, 1997 Booker. Hind Swaraj was written by, is it Jawaharlal Nehru, M.K. Gandhi, R.K. Narayan, or Raja Rao? This is also a very major and easy question. It's a very basic question. It is Mahatma Gandhi who wrote Hind Swaraj. So books and authors, many questions are there. Concepts, movements, genres, characters. Who's the author of Sexual Politics, Ankita?
Yes, so it was Kate Millett, who wrote this work of sexual politics. It was published in 1970, and this work was very famous because it attacked writers like D.H. Lawrence, Henry Miller, regarding how they depicted women and sex in their works. Because Kate Millett believed that the way they have talked about or depicted sex, it was rather a very derogatory style, and that's why she attacked D.H. Lawrence and Henry Miller in this very important work called Sexual Politics, and it was published in 1970.
And it inaugurated, it was a big milestone in feminism. So that brings us to the end of the PYQs. I hope everybody in YouTube has enjoyed this discussion. We will end the YouTube session now and we'll continue with our class. Thank you, everybody in YouTube.